Like Jenna, reaching for your cookies. Yeah. It was over in Xenia. They tore down that old hotel, Ramadi. Yeah. Yeah. Bad means. Because I get a cheap rate rather than improvement. The self farming have figured for a while. Yeah. Like you're doing. Wow. They will pass 2 points. Yeah. Yes.
Good afternoon and welcome to the January 31st, 2025. It's hard to believe it's January's finished.
Lost for that.
Moved too fast. I'd like to thank our Greater State Gould and Sandy Brubaker that were out there. Eric Marcus, Ticketmaster, and Internet Guru. Didn't do a good job today, but Bethany Order for all the setup she does. Pete Bales, Mark Weinstein, and Mike Swick for the great programs, and Jim Gundel for the website. Debbie, are you ready? Invocation.
Well, good afternoon. Would you join me in prayer? My fellow Rotarians and friends, all of us gathered here today have so much to be thankful for. Like some of our mankind, in other parts of the world, we have clean water available to us today, and every day we have abundant food, clothing, and shelter. Incidentally, we also have automobiles, color TVs, Wi-Fi, Blackberries, and iPods. Moreover, we have stimulating lives, in part due to Rotary. As Rotarians, we share a common purpose to serve our fellow men and to help those that are less fortunate. We Rotarians live by our motto, service above self, and we act like deals of the 4-way test. For all this richness in our lives, we are indeed grateful. Amen.
Cool. Debbie? Does anyone know anything about Jerry Pfeiffer? I've heard that he was in the hospital, he fell and broke his neck or something. I don't know if anybody heard anything. So Graham was just telling me about that this morning. So I'll try to follow up and see what I can find out and send out an email. Secretary's report, Joe Jenkins.
Yes, Dave Redberg, you can go first.
Yeah. I'd like to introduce Kyle Bale. I think you probably recognize him. But he's wanted to come back for going in and have lunch with us, and he's thinking about doing it. Not ruled it out.
Hi, Carl. Can I have a guest?
I got Abby here with me today.
And then we have a visiting Rotarian, Ben.
Hi, Ben Honebaker, Fairborn Rotary, District Executive for the Boy Scouts serving Green County.
And then Paul has a guest.
Yep. Good afternoon, everybody. I've got with me Tyler Alexander. He's the small guy sitting right here. So Tyler's our Director of Business Services.
Now it's time for Chris, Sergeant at Arms. Okay. Let's not get carried away.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Sure.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and our visiting Rotarian again, Ben. Again, our guest Tyler and Kyle, and of course, our long-term guest, Abby, and our incredible speaker slash Rotarian who will be up here shortly. Today is the last day of January, also known as the 31st day of the year, and also happy National Hell is Breathing Over Day, which between the weather and what's going on in the world, I don't know what's going on down there, but apparently it is freezing over today. Moving on to some celebrations, we have another upcoming week of no member birthdays, but Josh Ison will be celebrating his wife's birthday on the 4th. Colin will be celebrating his anniversary with us on the 1st of February, marking 34 years as a Beavercreek Rotarian. And then Jim and Judy Rudd will be celebrating 45 years of happily ever after on today. So happy anniversary. Some other good things that happened today on this day in history. Going back to 1865, the U.S. Congress passed the 13th Amendment to abolish slavery. 1930, a company by the name of 3M began marketing Scotch tape, also making today National Scotch Tape Day. In 1962, this sounds something straight out of a Batman movie, but it is actually real, apparently. Or it could be a great senior's last day prank. But on this day in 62, down in Tanzania, the laughter epidemic broke out where children would have uncontrollable giggles from anywhere from a few hours to 16 hours, causing schools to temporarily close, then to reopen just to close again, as this affected over 1,000 students. Really high trained people link this to a psychogenic illness. The other fun fact about this, not a single teacher or adult was affected. It was just children. 1995, U.S. President Bill Clinton authorized a $20 billion loan to Mexico to help stabilize the country. And that money was paid back in 97, 3 years earlier. 1997, for all gamers out there, you'll remember today that Final Fantasy VII was released and became one of the most iconic revolutionary games. Think someone just asked, how revolutionary was it? Well, this game has sold over 13 million copies, thanks to the way that it changed the way a storytelling game can be played to where you actually get to act out the story and just not read the story on the screen. It also had a soundtrack that sold 200,000 copies. And so I know we're all excited about the upcoming Super Bowl because all of our favorite teams are in the Super Bowl again. There's also a lot of fake news flying around one of the Super Bowl teams, which I'm sad that Ryan is not here to hear this. But I found a whole bunch of fun facts and data about the Kansas City Chiefs that might make some people upset that they are indeed wrong about the refs' treatment to them. So for the 2024 season, the Chiefs were called for 94 penalties, which resulted in 829 yards and 25 first downs. The Chiefs' opponents were called for 107 penalties, which resulted in 849 yards and 25 first downs. The Chiefs also led the league in offensive holding penalties, and they tied the league for offensive holding penalties with the Dolphins. And one Chiefs player accounted for 14 of the 31 offensive holding penalties all by himself. The Chiefs also had two of the league leading top 20 most penalized players on their team. When it comes to penalty differentials, Kansas City was in the middle of the pack at 16 with just a plus 20 differential, which is the lowest positive penalty yard differential for the year. The Chiefs had also gone 11 consecutive playoff games without committing more penalties than their opponents. The Chiefs also were the least penalized team in the league for delay of game, but they were the biggest beneficiary of just one category, and that is illegal kicks, which is whatever you want to call the new rules. Kansas City was also tied for the second fewest unnecessary roughness calls in their favor, where the opponents were penalized just twice for a total of 30 yards. And then the Chiefs also benefited from only 8 defensive pass interference penalties in 2024, which put them 21st in the league and well below the league average. So for all you out there that are thinking the refs have something to do with it, hate to tell you, but the data says you're all wrong. All right, now moving on to some fun things to celebrate. Tomorrow kicks off Women's Heart Week. It is also Spunky Old Broads Day. It's also Take Your Child to the Library Day, which the Beavercreek Library has all kinds of fun activities to celebrate this tomorrow from 12 to 4. And then I know there's at least one Rotarian that's going to be excited that tomorrow is National Car Insurance Day. So moving on to Sunday, we have World Wetland Day, National Tater Tot Day, and then of course Sunday is going to be the ever so fun Groundhog Day. Monday, we have Elmo's birthday. Monday is also the day that the music died. Tuesday is National Thank a Mail Carrier Day, along with World Cancer Day. Wednesday, we have National Girls and Women in Sports Day. We also have National Singing Day, which I don't, or I'm sorry, National Signing Day, which I don't think most of us took part in that, but if you are like me, you still have 4 years of NCAA athletic eligibility. Might not be a bad time to get in there, take advantage of that NIL Day. Also, does anyone know what the first national event that NCAA put on back in 1921?
Back at the.
Be the National Track and Field Championship. And then Thursday, consider this your reminder since we won't be here on Thursday, but Thursday is National Valentine Shopping Reminder Day. And then it's also Pay a Compliment Day, which you don't have to wait until that day to pay a compliment to somebody or give a sergeant arms a standing ovation upon his entrance. If you're looking for some other things to do, tomorrow Creekside will be having a euchre tournament fundraiser starting at 7 p.m. Tuesday, our friends at the chamber will be having their monthly lunch local at Canado Tacos at 12 p.m. And then moving on to some Beavercreek student awesomeness. The Beavercreek High School's new Business Professionals of America chapter had an incredible showing at last week's regional competitions, which included 2 state qualifiers, one in cybersecurity test and word processing. Along with a second place finish in regionals and group presentation and a third place finish in an individual presentation. Hankey Middle School had their Power of the Pins team compete in a district competition where the 8th grade team took first and had individuals place 3rd, 4th, and 8th. The BHS dance team competed in the state championship and took 4th overall in small pom and 6th in small jazz. And then the Air Force Junior ROTC earned a perfect score of 100% in their annual unit assessment. Women's varsity basketball beat Wayne. Men's unfortunately lost to Northmont, but also beat Wayne. The men's JVA team lost to Wayne, but the JVB team beat Wayne. Women's varsity swim and dive took 3rd at the GWAC championship, and the men's team took 4th. Varsity girls bowling beat Springboro and Fairmont. The varsity boys team won the Guyana Lincoln Invite and then beat Springboro and then beat Fairmont. The JV girls bowling team beat Greenview, then won the Baker Bash Invitational, then beat Springboro, then beat Fairmont. The JV boys bowling team took 2nd in the Baker's Bash, then went on to beat Springboro, Dayton Christian, and Fairmont. So again, if we're looking at bowling anybody, stay away from the Beavercreek team. Not a good choice to bowl them. Now, our favorite part, today's fines. Now, I recall me mentioning that we needed more fines and me being a man of the people. Here we go. You're not wearing your badge. Of course, that's $1, along with if you were late, which I didn't see anybody. So Boy Scouts honor if you were late. Since we just had another great RLI last weekend, if you have never been to RLI, that would be $1. If you've never had a legendary tater tot from King's Table, that'll be $1. If you've ever used Scotch tape, that'll be $1. If you have never played any of the Final Fantasy games, that'll be $1. And if you've ever complained about a football referee, that's $1.
Good job, Chris. There is one more guest we have here, Jason Jones, Mr. Jones on the roof. Okay, let's hold a few other things he's involved with. And we have another visiting Rotarian back here sitting. Don't. Stephen something or other.
Steve Brown.
So that's the one. Yes, Stephen Brown, welcome. We're glad you're here. Happy bucks. But what he's happy today? I know. There we go.
I think you guys all know that my kids swam for Beavercreek, and so Ethan swims for Alabama, Chloe swims for Boston College, and they both made their conference lineup. So Chloe will be swimming at the ACC championships, and Ethan will be at SEC. So we're
Anyone else? Happy books.
So as you said, Jason Jones, Mr. Jones on the roof. Just excited that the snow's melting off the roofs and I can get busy again. It's been a little bit of a lull with all that snow we had, so definitely doing big on commercial, residential solar. It's all in-house, so we have good quality control. And then doing primarily residential roofing with some commercial roofing. And just got a proposal to do V Hope Church to do their spray coating to make sure they don't have any. They just called me today, they had another leak, so it's kind of building the case to make it more necessary. So thank you guys for having me.
Anyone else? It's the time for the can drawing. And we're getting closer and closer. Uh-oh.
Score 3375.
What do you want? Nothing.
Yeah, I'm over it. Repeat.
Looking for the Queen of Hearts. And I think the pot should be pretty big one.
Might feel pale. Fine.
Right, so it's really.
That's it now. Wait a minute. Oh, you did. Good. I don't think you did. Queen of Hearts.
No, we're getting started all over again. Half the proceeds of that goes to our Christmas basket program, and I'm sure since David's so attached to the person, one of the co-chairs of that, I'm sure more than that will go. All right, what else matter? Was supposed to be Brandon Huddleston. Brandon is now in Florida because he doesn't want to come talk to us. So, I would, Mr. Gould, and we all know Mr. Gould, has volunteered to step up and take his place. So without further ado, Dick Gould, Green County Commissioner.
Sorry for your luck. But for those, I start out with this. I remember this magic wand somewhere, but I don't remember what it.
The magic.
Magic
Rotary.
Is that what it was? But we don't do a lot of legislative stuff. That's one of the big differences between the cities, the townships, and the county. We're more budgetary than anything. And so the current commissioners, we had to change this year. Myself, I serve, we're all on 4-year terms. I run on the governor's cycle, so I'll be up in 2 years. And then Tom Kugler was just reelected, and Sarah Mays is our new commissioner. And then there's Brandon. And we found out that it's easier to schedule Brandon if you let Brandon know. He had prior plans. Kind of an overview. County, by census, we have 167,966. If you remember in March of 2020, when they were doing the census, there were a lot of people that I don't believe got counted in Greene County because a lot of our population comes from the colleges. So we had Cedarville University, Ray State University, Wilberforce, Central State were not in session. So they came up with some way to count these people, but I don't believe they counted them. And as Beavercreek Township, I wasn't here last week, as they probably told you, they got more houses than they know what to do with right now building. Xenia, I think, has 1,400 in the pipeline in the next few years. Fairborn's growing, so I think we're well above 170,000 at this point. There it is. Yeah, that's a little note of trivia. We have 6 cities because we do have parts of Centerville and Kettering that are in Greene County. The Coffco area, Cornerstone, that is Greene County. It's Sugar Creek Township, Greene County, Centerville, Ohio. We're the 18th most populous county in the county. Employers, Twist, which is out in primarily in Jamestown, their manufacturing company is the largest. Unison, which is essentially GE and the like. From the public sector, obviously Wright Pat, which is mostly in Greene County, Wright State, Beavercreek, and then Greene County is the 4th largest public sector employer. And when I say largest employer, that includes, when I say all of Greene County, one of the things that's important that I want to make sure everybody knows is as commissioner, I'm a separately elected official, and none of the other elected officials work for us. We have a very long and flat org chart. So the prosecutor, the sheriff, the engineer, the auditor, the treasurer, the judges, etc., they are all equal. I don't report to them, they don't report to me. So when we say Greene County, it includes all of their employees, not just under the commissioners. We are probably the largest, I believe we're the largest of the employers because we are in charge of all the facilities. We have jobs and family services and some of those other large departments. There's the org chart. So this is all what is under the commissioners. And makes my job much easier is that we have a very good county administrator, Brandon, who does the day-to-day operations. And realistically, the 3 commissioners serve more as a board of directors than anything. We're kept apprised of all the day-to-day operations, and if there's important decisions, we make those. But day-to-day, keeping things running, that would be Brandon and his staff. These are all the boards that we appoint members to. Some we appoint all, some we appoint some. But these are all technically independent boards. But I believe some of them, Greene County Developmental Disabilities as an example, they have their own levy, they get their own funds, they've got their own board. We have to appoint some of the members, but that's the only say we have over them. And when you hear the term Greene County, like if you look at your tax bill, which will be coming here very soon, you'll see a chunk for Greene County. That's not the commissioners, that's anything that has Greene County in its name. The library is not part of Greene County. The health department is not part of Greene County. Technically, developmental disabilities, Metropolitan Housing Authority, all of these have their separate boards who we have no say over. Employees, mostly because of COVID and just through the way things have changed, trying to keep employees, we have gone from in 2015, 452, and last year, at the end of the year, we were down to 342. But like everybody else, we've learned to operate more efficiently and get stuff done with what we have. We're automating things like that. General fund budget over the years. Our budget last year ultimately ended up being $77,870,000. The way the county's budget, that's our general fund. We have funds commissioners don't really look at. When I was treasurer, I spent 8 years as treasurer. When I was treasurer, the last year I was there, I ran a report just to see how much money flowed through my office. And that would have been 2018. And there was about $780 million flowed through the office because all the federal funds that come in on grants, again, money that flows through for jobs and family services, money that people pay in that's collected for child support, et cetera, and then it's paid back out, so it's more of a revolving fund. But our day-to-day operations, it's 77 million. And the bulk of that comes from sales tax. Over half of our budget comes from sales tax. Well, almost half. 46. It varies year to year. In 24, in past years, we would budget 4 or 5% growth in sales tax. But last year, when we did the 24 budget, things were with inflation and the like, we could see changes. We budgeted a 3% increase. When we were budgeting 4 and 5, we were getting 7 and 8. We budgeted 3 and we ended the year up 0.9%. So people are still spending some money, but they're spending more on staples. They're buying lower quality stuff and less expensive things. And of course, food and the like is not taxable. So we saw a major decline. Plus, the state has continued to carve out things that they are making tax exempt. And so I'm on the board of County Commissioners Association, and we fight that fight. None of us like paying taxes, but that's when most of your taxes are coming from for your income. The property tax 19.4%. That we collect 2.33% of inside village. That's the only thing that the actual general fund gets of the taxes. The general fund revenues last year, 66,851,000. And some of these numbers are, you'll see the 76 million, the 63. Some of these are affected by things like ARPA dollars. And the American Rescue Plan was the money that the feds put out to fund a lot of things. The county got 33 million in a lump sum, and then we had to allocate, and we're done allocating. It had to be appropriated by December 31st of 24, and it has to be spent by December 31st of 26. So all 33 million has been appropriated somewhere. We're trying to roll out high-speed broadband across the county, and that was a $9.6 million contract. And the first part of that was engineering and gearing up. Now they are Alta Fiber, who we contracted with. I won't say it's a dispute, but they are hanging these on poles, and they have to get pole permits from AES Electric. And AES is dragging their feet. So we actually, last month, we brought in Broadband Ohio, the president of AES, and a director from Alta Fiber, and we sat in a room saying, what's the problem? Because we were getting a lot of, it's down, and we're hoping that within the next couple of weeks, they will have resolved everything and we'll get that moving. But that won't affect a lot of people in here, but if you live outside of Beavercreek, outside of Fairborn, outside of Xenia, you probably don't have high-speed internet. And so looking forward to that. General fund expenses last year, 74 million. Then our combined financials. Overall, we are pretty good at keeping our expenses down, and the budget. We budget it's not really zero-based budget, but it's very similar. We asked for the budget by, I think, the first week of October from all of the elected officials and departments. And then we go into it, and like jokingly, when the sheriff's here, he'll grant we talked about it. Last year, we cut their budget by $1 million. Everybody cut their budget by $1 million. what it was, they had 15 or 16 corrections officers saw slots that were not filled. When they presented their budget, they presented those as full because they wanted to make sure they were funded. So they presented those as full for the year. And when we looked at it, we said, wait a minute, you're not going to hire 16 people January 1. So had a discussion with them and they said, well, we hope to have this many by this date, this many by this date. So we saved those benefits and salaries. And I think actually in October, November, they came back to us because they had actually filled those slots and needed more money and we gave them more money. So talking about ARPA, we funded a lot of things. We funded some of these bigger ones. I think we did at the airport, we did. Well, can't remember what it was. I know we did a parking project out there, but we did something before that. So we're trying to expand parking out there.
A lot of the interest at the,
Part of the what?
yeah,
We remodeled the entire main office of the airport. I know I was out there for the ribbon cutting, which you forget these things. We gave a lot of funds to a lot of organizations. We had at one point, I think we were doing $10,000 or $25,000 to virtually any qualified nonprofit that would submit a request. And we figured that was a way to touch pretty much all of the people in Greene County in some way. And most of them were not people, or most of them were not projects that were mediocre. They actually were decent projects, and it felt good to have the funds available to fund it. But again, the big one was the broadband, and we put $10 million towards the sheriff's office. And through bookkeeping, the treasury would not allow you to spend money on a corrections facility. However, you could do revenue replacement for what you lost. So we did revenue replacement and spent $10 million of our general fund on the jail, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. There it goes. Oh, boy. We have a project that a lot of the communities have taken advantage of, the community investment grant. It provides financial assistance to jurisdictions to develop sites and infrastructure. And we run this through our Community Improvement Corporation, and it can be up to $200,000. And we look for projects, municipalities, villages, townships have to request the funds in conjunction with something with the hopes that it will spur economic development. And that can be up to $200,000, if I'm not mistaken. And we did 50,000 to the city of Beavercreek for Rock Road extension, I believe.
The Grassway.
Yeah, the Grassway was renamed. Yeah. And then we did another 50,000 did we do one in Beavercreek Township for about 50,000?
yeah. The development,
About the Valley Bell Connector, which is over near the Trayvine and 35 overpass up there. So this is a way to get the money out to help, but we don't want to just give it to an individual business. We want to give it to the governmental agency that then can make it more advantageous. So it might help one business, but then it might help 2, 3, 4. Like what they did on the Graff Way was connected from Dayton Xenia to North Fairfield. Talked a little bit before about the jail, the Greene County Gene Fisher Justice Center. This was in design, plan, et cetera, for years. The first thing we tried to do was find a way to fund it because originally it was scheduled to be a $50 million project. Our jail was closed, or not closed, but received a federal consent decree in 1989, 20 years after it was built, and we were only allowed to partially use the jail. So we've been letting people go. They would, I mean, I, at one point I had a secretary years and years ago. She had a DUI and she was supposed to spend some time in jail. And she would go to the jail, say, I'm here. And they'd say, okay, gotcha. That counts for a day. See you later. We don't have room for you. And then the judges were quite frustrated with that. We were trying to model after the Warren County Jail and Sheriff's Office. That facility had 500 beds, a new office, and it cost $52 million. So we went out to the voters twice for a sales tax increase to fund this with a 12-year time frame. Both times it was defeated, so we had to figure out a way to get it built. It had to be done. We finally were able to set aside funds. We borrowed some money. We have them on bonds. They're at 4.5% interest. So we borrowed the money knowing rates were going up. So we put it in the bank. We got the first bids back. This was after COVID. And that $52 million project we wanted was going to be $93 million. So we scaled back, went through 7 iterations, and finally ended up with a 270 bed facility. And originally it was not going to have the sheriff's office, and that was going to be $73 million. We later received a $15 million grant from the state for jail construction, and we were able to then incorporate the new sheriff's office, because right now our sheriff's office is in 2 locations. They have the adult detention center out off of Progress, and they have the downtown jail, and the sheriff's administrative offices are downtown, and that's in a 1929 car dealership. So this will open. It's on schedule. The office portion should be open towards the end of August, we're hoping. At that point, the sheriff's office will move out to Progress. This is right across the street from Juvenile Court on Greenway Boulevard. This will, when they move out, we will then tear down that building for future use of other things, the old building. And then the actual jail hopefully will open by the end of November, or at least by the first of the year. And it was built with the ability that if we do need to expand, they are what they have are called pods. And we have 2 pods with the ability to add a 3rd pod to take the total up to, I believe, 350 or so inmates. Hopefully everybody will reform. We won't have anybody arrested. We won't need it. Board of Elections, this is another thing we used ARPA funds for. We expanded the Board of Elections, and we have no control over the Board of Elections. So those years of voting, 2020 comes to mind, 2016, and then like standing in long lines, that was the Board of Elections, and we gave them additional space. And so this year, early voting, we remodeled the complete area, expanded the number of stations where people could check in, and the number of machines that they could have. So that was a big expenditure. Our 2025 budget, actually have the actual budget here. It's not going to be up on the screen, but it came in, we passed this in the end of November, $64,111,663. And we are projecting revenues of $76.9 million for the year. That budget will obviously change as the year goes, but it keeps us close. Investment income has made up for a lot of what we lost in sales tax. But the problem with that is, as interest rates are rolled back, our investment income comes down. And at some point, we hope that start spending more money. Green Forward, this will impact most people in here. Green Forward, this is our water expansion of our water facility over in Rotary Park. We took our capacity from 9 million gallons a day to 12 million gallons a day. And we built into the possibility of expanding to 16 million gallons a day. Plus we drilled other wells to supply that. As manufacturing and businesses are growing, water is one of the crucial resources that's needed. As part of this, we put in reverse osmosis, softening and cleaning for the water. And we ran into issues. It was supposed to roll out last summer. They turned it on, started to turn it on. It has to be brought on gradually so that everybody's pipes and everything don't just clog up every filter you have in your house, because the soft water will eat the line, and so we roll it out gradually. When we rolled it out, the water that we had, there was a flaw in the system, and it clogged our screens. The iron in our water content clogged all of the filtration screens. So we had to stop using it, get with the engineers to figure out what the problem was. It got corrected and it has rolled out. It's been, I believe, middle of November, December when it started to roll out. And as part of this, it'll take your hardness. We were at 28 grains of hardness before this. We are currently down to 13 grains, and we will get down in the 7 to 8 grains. And it has to be done gradually, and it's throughout our entire water system. This was I believe, $140 million total project to do everything. And we were able to do this with, I think, our total, if you were water and sewer, your bill increase and an average user was 40 cents this year. I think it was under $1. I know that. So we were able to do that because bonds were rolling off. It was fortunate financing and the like. So the way this rolls out, areas of Beavercreek will probably see the softest water sooner because we fill up the water tanks and it's more use over here. If you're out towards Jamestown, Shawnee Lake, that area, they don't use as much water. So it's a lot slower process. Then the last thing we did at the end of the year, the facilities master plan. We took I think we took $600,000 of ARPA funds to schedule a plan of where do we want to be in 10, 20, 30 years from a facility standpoint. Since I've been at the county, what has happened is, well, it happened long before, but what I've seen is when all of a sudden a facility fails or there's something new that has to be created, they would get out and say, what do we own? Where can we stick somebody? And there was no thought for workflow, who deals with whom. So we hired Wolpert and they conducted interviews. We had a couple of public hearings, and then they drafted the facilities master plan. And I don't think it has a picture on it. But over the next 25 to 35 years, it's a plan of this is the next building we want to build. And it starts, the first thing that we would build, total would be about $150 million in today's dollars. But the first thing that would be built would be a new Justice Center courthouse. Our plan originally was to we're not going to tear down the courthouse we have, but it's not functional. We have 2 common pleas court judges in there now, plus probate court. And if you recall, right before I was commissioner, there was a Supreme Court fight in the county over the three judges arguing over a courtroom and the like. So anyhow, we spend about $500,000 right now a year in security for the courthouse, and we have the courthouse, we have juvenile court as a separate facility. We have domestic relations court is in a separate facility. Fortunately, juvenile court and domestic relations court have their own security, so they're not using sheriff's deputies, so it runs a little bit less. But part of it is if we build too many courthouses, if you do full sheriff's office support, you're looking at $500,000 a year just to guard these facilities. So the first plan, originally we were going to use the courthouse. They called it a museum, but it's not, it was never going to be a museum. It was going to be more of a, it could be used so people could see it and tour it, but also it could be a functioning courtroom for large trials or the like. Or if you wanted to get married, at the courthouse. It's a beautiful courthouse. That was going to be part of the plan. Through discussions, we made some changes, and we want to keep it a functioning courthouse. And the main courtroom, the thought process now, and this could change because this is several years down the road, probably 10 years down the road. The current thought process is that we would keep it as probate court because they don't require to have the clerk of courts there. They are their own courts. Then we could move the common pleas judges, the 2 general division, and there's talk that there might be a 3rd common pleas court judge and domestic relations out to the new facility that we would then build. And we would have probate court would not require the same level of security as the other courts do. That would also relocate probation and the like. And where the sheriff's office was, the plan is to build a new administration building there, which would house, we would bring the folks from Jobs and Family Services from Ledbetter Road downtown. We would take the treasurer, the auditor, the commissioners, civil division of the prosecutor's office, and some others into the new administration building. It would be a 3-story building. Then, as part of this process, the buildings that they are in now on Green Street would be torn down, and a 3-story parking garage. If you go to Xenia, you realize parking is horrible. This would have one level underground and 2 levels above ground, so that it doesn't interfere with the aesthetics of the courthouse. And we've talked with Xenia about them being a partner in the parking garage because that's what facilitate their folks also. So a lot of moving parts, but again, those are just the plans. We're putting more and more funds into our capital improvements budget for long term. We just first week of January, we put another $5 million in this year. So as we have additional funds, we're starting to put more and more into capital projects so that when it comes time for this, we're able to just pay for it and not have to worry about borrowing money for it. So that's pretty much my presentation. So I guess it's a good time to open up for questions. Eric.
Okay, you answered the water, you said you're down to 13, how long? When should we as homeowners all like calling in or whoever it is to come adjust our softeners for the new soft water situation?
Whatever it doesn't taste right to you. I mean, that's personal. Some people will just cease to use them because 7 to 8 grams is a normal, high quality soft water. And I would suspect in Beavercreek, probably another month or 2, you'll be at that 7 to 8 grams. Again, barring any problems, which we've done it now for about 2.5 months with no problems. And again, it depends on how fast it filters out what's been pumped out, gets used or gets put in. And it's a constant dilution process. So whatever's in the tank, you pump in the softer water, you don't get, that's not the new number, it's whatever the mixture is, and so.
Just to add on to that, I attended the last Green County Sanitary meeting, and they were thinking sometime in March,
Okay.
they would achieve the 7 to 8 number.
Yeah.
Does that go in line with them removing the fluoride from the water as well? Is that part of the initiative on that?
No, I don't believe so. Actually, I think fluoride, and I don't know that. I believe that's put in by sanitary engineering. I don't know. I don't know the rules, the laws. That's a whole other thing. I know that there are a lot of people who don't like fluoride, and then there are other people who are, thinking, gosh, how could you not have fluoride? So, again, I don't foresee any changes immediately on that. Any others? It's gotta be more questions than that. I'm not there.
Be nice.
Or nobody cares. So,
So what do you do with so where the domestic relations court is now? What are the other?
Ledbetter would be totally vacated, sold and redeveloped. Xenia is growing out that direction. For those that, if you've never been to Ledbetter Road, it's where the Board of Elections currently is. Board of Elections would have a new building out on Progress. So a lot of the public facing facilities would be out on the Progress Drive area. So that it's actually more central to the county. It's easier to get to for Fairborn, Beavercreek, Jamestown, etc. And Xenia is growing out 42 in that way. So that would allow more and more whatever Xenia would like to have in there, and they were very supportive of that.
Dick, I just want to say thank you to you and the commissioners, because I feel like more than ever, the commission and the county is forward thinking and planning for like the jail and the new facility master plan. And I think it sets the county and all of our communities up for success, just with all the economic development we're seeing in Beaver Creek and in Xenia, and so I appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate that. It is different. I know that, again, through the financial crisis of like 08 and those years, I was not at the county, but I know that it was a very reactive. It was, what are we going to do? We've got to start laying off people. And then you lay off people, and then it's, oh my God, what are we going to do? This needs to get done. We don't have the people to do it. So we do try to stay on top of things and be much more nimble so that we can react more quickly to events. Anybody else? Absolutely.
Sir. And thanks for stepping up, even though Brandon wasn't contacted. Couple quick things that I wanted to bring up. This Biosphere Future Spring Fling is coming up April 11th. I think Rotary normally buys a table at that. We'll figure that out later. But for some people could go to that if they want. It's the biggest fundraiser Biosphere Futures has. And I was reading this morning that probably all heard about the plane crash and the helicopter crash. My understanding is, I didn't verify this yet, but one of the people that was on the airplane, it was this junior out here at Cedarville. It was,
I see.
it touches all of us when something like that happens. Book dedication. Dick's already signed this. It's come and join us. 18 holidays celebrated all year long. So I like that we put in the library. Next week's speaker, I'm sure Beth will be part of it, but Barry James will be here, and Jane, you're not talking.
I very want to be.
Oh, well, okay. All right, well, then we'll listen to Paul and Beth. Our next week, Stephanie Cronin, Dave Brandenburg. Please keep an eye out for upcoming programs on the beavercreekrotary.com. Anything else for the good of the club? Please. Yes.
I just want to give a big shout out to Joe Jenkins. Last year, he got me in contact with B Hope to be their designated roofer. Been able to help them out quite a bit with small leaks here and there, so just grateful for the opportunity. He's also the one, and Don also talked to me about coming into here, so looking to sign up with my company.
Very good. We can always use more of these. We still have. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America. Public with stands, a nation, under God. Everybody have a great weekend. Right, Mr. If you're like,
Hey, great job up there. Please call them. I don't. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So how it's supposed to go. We called it. Okay.